Welcome back, Luisa. So what strategic metals and companies in the rare earth space are getting recent increased attention?
There are two particular companies in the rare earth space, especially in North America, that are having increased attention. One is Molycorp, I would say probably for the wrong reasons, and the other one is Ucore. Molycorp, they having still issues ramping up their plant. Costs, for instance, in the resource segment are still north of $20 per kilo when the realized prices are at $10. So obviously that's a result of successful commissioning of the plant. They have debts coming due next year, which, it's worth watching that company, but unfortunately they are struggling. I wouldn't throw the towel just yet. I think they can still make it. They might face some dilution or restructuring of the debt somehow, so that is not so positive in the rare earth space. On the other hand, we have Ucore, and the company is advancing well. They have support from the Alaska government to fund a significant percentage of the capex, and they now have a new molecular recognition technology for the separation, for the refining of individual rare earth elements. They've actually been able to refine 16 of the rare earth elements, which is including scandium. So this is really amazing for this company, and they're progressing very well. They're being very innovative and strategic the way they're advancing their project.
Can you tell our viewers how China affects the rare earth elements market?
China still is, controlling the supply side of the rare earth market. We don't really know how much it is at this point. 5 years ago, we believe it was 95% in general, and close to 100% as far as the heavy rare earth was concerned. Right now, it's probably less, maybe 80, maybe 85, but they absolutely still control that supply, and they have effects, obviously, on prices as well. So for folks to really understand the impact of China, if China was to do what they did 5 years ago, actually back in 2011, 2010, decrease the supply of exports of rare earth, we will see a significant change again in prices. And by the way, prices are still 100% higher. Some of the prices are still 100% higher compared to 2005, 2006, and 2007 prices. So China has a significant effect still.
What advice do you have for investors looking to invest in a lithium play?
Understanding what kind of deposit the play has. They could have a brine deposit, a hard rock deposit, or some of them have a clay deposit in the case of Bacanora Minerals and Western Lithium. So, and understand, for instance, that clay has never been used to produce lithium in a commercial scale, and brines are responsible for the supply of most of lithium, but it's not, for instance, used for the production of mineral concentrate for glass and ceramics, which still accounts for close to 30% of the market. So all understanding exactly what type of deposit and what products, for instance, they will be able to supply is a good start.
We've been seeing a lot about Tesla Motors in the news recently. What effect has the company had on the lithium market?
Tesla has had a very positive effect on the market. Their cars are pretty trendy, and folks are using it not just for reasons of being green, but because they're really trendy and the performance is very good. So although oil prices are down and demand for these cars are lower, Tesla is still seeing good sales despite where oil is. So it's positive for that company. It's positive for the lithium market. Now, in terms of raw materials that are used, rare earths are indeed used in cars. They will be used in electric cars, neodymium and praseodymium magnets. They are used in different parts of the car. And rare earths are also going to be used for alloys that go in different parts of the car, and LED lights and so forth. But as far as the actual battery that Tesla is producing and developing. Those batteries are called NCA, the nickel, cobalt, aluminum batteries. They don't really use much of rare earth, and in that case, nickel, cobalt in particular, which is a conflict mineral, will be very critical for Tesla in this case. So looking for companies that can supply those materials will be very interesting.
How do you see the industrial mineral space evolving in the near future?
And the North American companies are struggling, for instance, in the titanium space with high costs between $2,000 and $2,500. The Chinese, the costs seem to be very close to $2,500 per ton when the pigment is selling for $3,000, and in China potentially even lower because the quality of pigment there are sometimes lower. So the margins in China is becoming less competitive and the margins are shrinking. So in the case of Vargex, for instance, according to that feasibility study, they're looking at costs at around $1,500 per ton. Nevada, which has a different technology, they're looking at very competitive costs as well, anywhere from 30 to 50% below, where the average of North American costs are. So these new technologies could make a significant bring a significant advantage to Western companies in the pigment space, for instance. And in the case of Ucore, we know that China uses solvent extraction, which is requires quite a lot of capex, and it's fairly expensive as well to produce in some cases. So this new molecular recognition technology that Ucore has might bring some cost advantages as well.
The last time we spoke, you mentioned that you like Critical Elements Corporation and Nemaska Lithium Inc. 6 months later, both stocks had increased by more than 50%. Do you still like these names, and are there any other stocks that you think have the same potential?
I still like those names. Another stock that can do the same is Houston Lake Mining. They have the Pacquiao PAK deposit. It's a hard rock. The grades in their central zone is very high. They actually been able to define about 6 million tons of resource, some of it indicated, close to 2%. That's second only to Talison in Australia. And so the company is now looking at a strategic way of advancing the project. They're looking at selling that mineral first for the glass and ceramics industry, and then advance, self-funding part of their development, advance to produce or I should say, to build a chemical plant for the production of lithium carbonate or hydroxide and so forth. So it's a very interesting model. They have the right type of, it seems that they have the right type of deposit, low in impurities, and they're now testing. So it will be very interesting to follow that name.
Thanks for taking the time for today's interview.
Thank you very much for having me.
Keep up to date with all of your favorite small caps. Subscribe to our free newsletter and get daily investment ideas, breakout stocks, momentum gainers, expert and analyst stock picks, and more. Smallcappower.com, investing ideas and research.